YouTube channel, Vastu Creations. Today we're going to look at the rectified chart for Madeleine Albright, since no time of birth is known. If we look to the eastern horizon when she was born, you would see the constellation associated with Aquarius rising at 29 degrees. 29 degrees becomes the most effective point of every house. Any planet, like Sun, like Moon, like Venus, that's within 5 degrees has a lot of impact in the chart. First, we're going to look and see how the planets are operating using sidereal Vedic zodiac, not Western tropical zodiac. And then we'll see when the planets are operating at different points in our life and what we could do to rectify the chart, to strengthen the chart. So, first thing we want to look and see is where the multicona signs fall, because they are, wherever they are in the chart is what that person came here to learn about in this lifetime, depending on what house they're in. Each house signifies a different aspect of our life. So the first sign, number 1, of Aries, ruled by Mars, is in the house of success. So learning about how to be successful. Then any planets, any multicona signs that fall in the 6th, 8th, or the 12th house, the challenging houses, Dustana houses, can cause some harm in the chart from time to time, either in the transit chart or in the birth chart, if they are close within 5 degree conjunction or aspect. Now, Moon, so Cancer, 4th sign of Cancer ruled by Moon, in the house of health and healing, learning about that, also divorce. And the 6th sign, Virgo, ruled by Mercury, in the 8th house. 8th house has to do with challenges and research and death-like experiences. Then we have also the 7th sign of Libra in the 9th house, having to do with belief systems and government and good fortune. Then we have the 9th sign of Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, in the house of income and social connections, fulfillment of desires. And the 11th sign of Aquarius in the 1st house, ruled by Saturn. So this is learning about name and fame, health, etc. So let's see individually how each planet is operating. Sun is at 0 degrees. That means anything less than 5 degrees is infant state, so it's very weak. It is ruling the house of marriage, placed in the house of family. So there's some stress to the marriage and family. In fact, she did get a divorce. Then Moon is at 2 degrees, also weak, sitting in its own sign, so it's not afflicting its own house, but it is afflicting within 2 degrees Jupiter and the 12th house. So Jupiter is representative of husband and children, so there can be, again, issues with husband. He had an affair and left the marriage, and then also we have a very strong Mars, ruling the house of success, placed in the house of career. So very strong ambition, desire to be successful in career. And the 3rd house also has to do with fine arts. So this person, Madeleine Albright, wrote several books, writing and publishing, and became the first female Secretary of State. Mercury, again, functional malefic. It's not afflicting anything in the chart, so it's fairly benign. It is giving research to her writing and publishing. So she is a a political scientist, and she does research into internal affairs. And also, her speech can be controversial in that not everybody agrees with her beliefs. Uh, Jupiter is very weak. It's weak because it's in the 12th house and it's less than 5 degrees, so in the infant state, and it's afflicted by Moon. And so it connects income and fulfillment of desires with some spiritual ideas about um, democracy. And then also, Jupiter is the significator for husband and children. So again, there's some stress, some separation from husband. Um, then we have a weak Venus also in old age, 27 degrees. Anything more than 25 is old age. And it is ruling Libra, the seventh sign. So it says that this person could have good fortune through their relationships, and it can be connected to government and uh, politics as well. Now, an interesting note about Venus is also connected to um, jewelry, and she is really noted for wearing different pins at different times to express whatever she's feeling at that time. So she even wrote a book about 200 pins. Everybody's trying to guess what her pins signify. Um, then she has a very, very strong Saturn ruling that first house, which gives her very humanitarian service related to humanity, basically. And that Saturn is sitting in the house of good fortune and wealth. So gives her good fortune and wealth to the detriment of her marriage, but through hard work and discipline connected with Saturn, she achieves great fame and wealth through service. Rahu and Ketu always teaching us how to balance different things in our life. And here, balancing Ketu is sitting in the house of family. Rahu is sitting in the house of career. So trying to balance family and career. And Rahu is very strong here, so more focus on work than family. So it caused some stress in the marriage. Let's look at the timing of events. So her family immigrated to the U.S. in 1948 during a Sun period. Sun is ruling the house of not only marriage and contracts, but also comforts living in foreign places, living abroad. So in 1959, she met her husband in college. They got married during a Venus period. Venus, the significator for relationships, sitting in the house of stability in the marriage. In 96, she became the first female Secretary of State. And after that job, she formed the global strategy firm, all during a Saturn period. Saturn representing service in this chart. Very strong. Hard work and discipline as well. Then in 2012, she got the Medal of Freedom, also during a Saturn period. Saturn, name, fame, sitting in the House of Fame, so a lot of adulation there. And then she died March 23rd, 2022, of cancer. And so if we look at the chart on the day of her death, the outer circle represents the transit planets, the planets at that time of her death, and the inner circle is the same as this rectangular birth chart. What we see on that day is Rahu and Ketu are right on the most effective point. So that means they are closely afflicting 6 of the 12 houses, especially the first house of the body and longevity. And also what's happening K2 is not only afflicting the first house, but it's also afflicting Mercury, which is ruling the house of longevity and death-like experiences. And you have Saturn at the most effective point in the 12th house of loss of life. Saturn is the planet that signifies longevity as well, the body. Thank you so much for listening. What we could do to strengthen this chart is transforming, not strengthening, the malefics, Moon, Ketu, Rahu, and Mercury. And that can all be done through service and charity work, which she was already doing. So we see this about successful people. Maybe their chart doesn't look perfect, but they are doing the remedies naturally in their chart. Then also we want to strengthen Saturn, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter and Sun with either the planetary gemstones or a kavash, which is a locket that contains the Devata yantras for those planets. You can see them on our website at vastucreations.com, and if you're interested in getting a reading, as you can see, this transformational Vedic astrology is quite accurate. You can go to vastucreations.com under services to select a reading. Yearly reading is good. And you can also learn transformational Vedic astrology under courses at vastucreations.com. And if you take level 2, you can get certified to be an astrologer as well. Thank you again so much for listening.